The night on Vera 4's battlefield plain smelled of iron, smoke, and burning star metal. Sergeant Daniel Hayes, a combat medic of the United Earth Expeditionary Corps, moved quickly among the craters. His medical kit rattled against his armored chest plate as he scanned the area for survivors. The fighting had stopped hours ago, but the silence was worse than the roar of weapons. Daniel was one of the last medics still moving, ordered to check the fallen after a skirmish between humans and the mysterious Illyrians, a winged alien race whose technology seemed centuries beyond Earth's. Daniel had seen them only from afar, tall, graceful, with feathered wings of iridescent colors, capable of flight even in thin atmospheres. They terrified soldiers with their precision and beauty. Rumors painted them as merciless conquerors. But when Daniel pushed aside a chunk of scorched alloy, he froze. Beneath the wreckage, pinned against the ground, lay an Illyrian woman. Her wings, great silver-feathered arcs, were torn, one bent at an unnatural angle. Her breathing was shallow, her skin pale beneath streaks of soot. Blood, not red but shimmering violet, pulsed weakly from a gash near her ribs. Daniel's training screamed at him. Enemy combatant. Protocol demanded he leave her. Yet his human instincts, the medic's oath he carried inside his bones, refused. He knelt, pulling open his kit. "Stay with me," he whispered, though he doubted she understood his language. Her golden eyes flickered open, wide with both fear and disbelief. Her lips moved, forming soft words that Daniel didn't recognize. She tried to lift her broken wing, and a shudder of pain racked her body. "Easy," Daniel murmured, his hands steady despite the pounding of his heart. "I've got you." Middle. Daniel worked quickly. He stabilized the wound at her side first, applying coagulant foam to slow the bleeding. The alien woman hissed at the sting, but didn't fight him. Then his attention turned to the wing. Up close, it was magnificent, a structure of both bone and something like crystalline cartilage, lined with feathers that shimmered faintly even in the gloom. But it was fractured, bent so badly it might tear if left untreated. Daniel carefully braced it with collapsible splints from his kit, improvising where human tools failed. He wrapped the wing with strips of nanofiber bandages, weaving them around the feathers as if binding something sacred. The alien woman watched him silently, her golden eyes unblinking. Once, she winced and grasped his arm. Daniel met her gaze and nodded reassuringly. "I know it hurts, but you'll fly again." When he finished, her breathing had steadied. The wing was secure. Daniel sat back on his heels, exhaustion and relief flooding him. For a long moment, they simply looked at one another. And then, she did something he hadn't expected. She reached up with trembling fingers and touched his cheek. A word escaped her lips, soft, melodic. Daniel didn't understand, but the warmth in her tone needed no translation. Then the air above them trembled. A shadow fell across the battlefield. Engines roared as a massive vessel descended, its hull gleaming silver under the fractured moons of Vera 4. Around it, smaller craft swooped into formation. The Illyrian fleet had arrived. Daniel's pulse spiked. He was kneeling over one of their injured, an act that could be seen as an execution or capture. His hand tightened on his medkit strap. For all he knew, he'd just doomed himself. The alien woman raised her uninjured wing weakly, as if signaling. The lead ship hovered closer, and a beam of light enveloped them. Daniel shielded his eyes. Within seconds, armored Illyrian warriors descended, tall figures with wings unfurled, weapons gleaming. They formed a circle around him, their eyes sharp and distrustful. Daniel braced himself. Then the injured woman spoke. Her voice was faint but commanding. Every warrior froze, listening. One by one, they lowered their weapons. The tallest of them stepped forward, clearly a commander. He studied Daniel with piercing silver eyes, then turned to the woman. She spoke again, lifting her bandaged wings slightly. The commander's expression shifted from suspicion to shock. Slowly, deliberately, he placed a fist over his heart and bowed his head. And then every Alienwing warrior around them did the same. To Daniel's astonishment, the entire fleet above tilted their ships in unison, wings of light shimmering across the sky. It was a salute. The medic blinked, still kneeling in the dirt, surrounded by beings that should have killed him. Instead, they honored him. Climax. Daniel was brought aboard their flagship, not as a prisoner, but as a guest. The injured woman, who he learned was Arinya, daughter of the fleet's high-wing lord, was placed in a healing chamber, his bandages still intact beneath their advanced equipment. Arinya spoke for him, translating. She told her people that when she was broken and left for dead, it was not one of their own who saved her, but a human, an enemy, who tended her wounds with care and respect. Her words rippled through the Alienwing ranks like fire. To them, wings were sacred. For a human to touch, let alone mend one, should have been sacrilege. But Daniel had done so not with arrogance, but compassion. He became a symbol. Arinya's father, the Wing Lord, met him personally. A towering figure with wings that spanned the length of a corridor, he studied Daniel long and hard before saying in near-perfect English, "You preserved what even our finest healers may have failed to save. For this, you are honored by the Alienwing people." Daniel had no words. He was a soldier, a medic. He'd only done what his conscience demanded. But now, whole fleets saluted him, and an empire saw him as more than an enemy. They saw him as proof that humanity's heart was not cruelty, but mercy. Ending. Weeks later, the war front changed. Hostilities slowed. Talks of truce began, with Daniel often invited as a neutral figure. His story was told among humans and Illyrians alike. The medic who had wrapped an alien's wing and been saluted by an entire fleet. On his last day aboard the flagship, Arinya met him once more, her wings fully healed, feathers glinting with light. She stood taller now, strong again, but her eyes softened when they found him. "You saved me," she said in halting English, her first attempt at his tongue. "You saved all of us." Daniel smiled faintly. "Just did my job." She shook her head. "More than job. You changed sky." And as he departed the Alienwing vessel, escorted by warriors who now bowed their heads in respect, Daniel Hayes realized something profound. Wars might be fought with weapons, but peace began with bandages, compassion, and the courage to see an enemy as simply another life worth saving. As his shuttle returned him to the human fleet, the Alienwing armada shifted once more. Hundreds of ships angled their wings of light toward him in a final gesture of honor. The stars burned brighter that night, as if the universe itself acknowledged the bond that had been forged, one medic, one alien, and an entire fleet's salute.